Um, okay, awesome. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Talks. This is our sixth Leadership Talks, and I titled it Every Day I'm Hustlin'. I'm with my girl, Corinne, and she was definitely the inspiration for the title because there is nobody that hustles harder. So, Corinne, tell everybody what you do, where you're from, what you're up to.
Perfect. Hi, guys. Grew up, born and raised in California. I moved out here to go to ASU, graduated, and I've been in the event industry, probably about 8 years now. I started working at a venue in downtown Phoenix, and then I moved on to the catering side of things about 4.5 years ago now. And I just started with Fresh from the Kitchen in June of this year, so going on 8 months. It's been a wild few months, but it's super exciting and a fun role. So I am our new corporate catering sales manager for the company.
And guys, let me just tell you, we've worked together for how many years at Santa Barbara?
Almost 4.5, I think. Right. Just about 4, yeah.
And you started and you kind of got, molded into this sales position. And she was like the salesperson. I kid you not, that was it's 12 people and, they want to pay $500-$600 per person. You were so good. It was insane. And there were always the fun, really fun parties to work. Everything was really thought out well. But, really during that time, we worked our butts off, when we were there, it was a bunch of us that had worked together for a really long time, a big group of women, honestly, and an Earl. And, we were working 80 to 100 hours a week, almost every single week. We were just talking before we hopped on today about where, what it would look like this time of year for us had we still been in kind of that place, just constantly thinking about, oh my gosh, we have 17 events this Saturday. That world was insane.
Yeah, I remember Thanksgiving weekend almost every single year where it was I would drive home to California on Wednesday night after work and drive back Friday or Saturday morning because we had events all weekend, and then right back to it on Monday. And this coming weekend would have been some of our biggest galas and events that we had all year, and it was just nonstop. There was no break. So it's definitely been different, and it's crazy to think that was only a year ago.
Yeah, so much has changed, obviously, for everybody over the last year. And, that part of my life, I know that part of your life, and everybody else that, worked with us there, I think would agree that was probably one of the best experiences of our careers, because it 100% got us to where we are now. We were hustling every single day. It was just nonstop. And I think we kind of, we fed off each other. It was Corinne, I know you're busting your ass to try to get this event. You worked so hard out of it. We want to support you on that from the culinary side and the operations side. And I think that was really kind of cool for all of us to just have that experience together, because it really taught us pretty much everything about this industry from every aspect of it, how to train servers who've never had a job a day in their life. You guys used to come in the kitchen,
Oh, yeah.
We would have to, also, talk to the clients and, be involved with site visits and how are we logistically going to plan this out. Those 80 to 100 hours a week really kind of allowed us to be in the position we are today. And not just you and I, but the rest of the team as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. Before I came into actually working in catering, I never have had a restaurant job ever. And it was I had no idea what anything was, how food was actually cooked for an offsite event. I knew nothing. And then by the end, when I left the company,
you froze up a little bit. This is what's fun about technology. right now is that sometimes we have glitches. There you are.
Okay, good. And it was just like, I didn't know anything. And then I was able to walk down the kitchen and we could have a conversation about how much meat this would need, how much this would need. And I was able to understand logistically from a kitchen perspective and a chef perspective, how that translates to a sales perspective. So then I could communicate that with a client. And then same with operations, I knew how many plates we would need, how much stuff, and we really did work as a team to make everything happen between midnight phone calls many a times of like, I know it's midnight, but are you awake? I have a question.
I have this proposal. I need you to review it, and I have to deliver it by 7 a.m. tomorrow, and it's 10 p.m. right now, you know?
Yeah, I hope you weren't planning on sleeping tonight.
You know, it's funny because, you know, really, you know, I titled this Every Day I'm Hustling because, you know, I feel like for a lot of my clients, you know, especially in like the restaurant, well, really in any of the businesses, you know, we have a tendency of kind of getting lost in the hustle. You know, my job, I must work 100 hours a week in order to actually be good at my job, or I can't think about anything else other than, you know, this job, this is everything. And, you know, we all went through that in like kind of establishing ourselves in our careers. But I think a lot of us, you know, have now gotten to a point where we said, okay, that was the time to hustle. And now it's time to enjoy the fact that we've, you know, really kind of, you know, mastered our roles in, you know, our individual roles in this industry. And we now know how to hustle in a way that it doesn't take over our life.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, at first it was like when I first started in my sales role, it was there, I didn't know how to take a break because I was like, I have to sell this event. I have to do this. I have to do that. If not, I won't get this commission, or I won't get this, or all of this will happen. And now it is nice to be at a spot where you're just kind of like, I will hustle in my job and I will work as hard as I possibly can, but also I know when to be like, no, it's time to stop. I need a break. I need time with family and friends, and kind of taking that and being able to put work aside for a little bit has definitely been important for sure.
Well, and I think what, you know, because we knew all, you know, so many different aspects of, you know, the business, because we were so hands-on and we were there for, you know, those 80 to 100 hours a week, it meant that we just got really good at being able to train staff very quickly. You know, I mean, I think towards the end of like, you know, my career there, we had all kind of gotten to a point where we had learned how to start delegating tasks. We had
Yes.
learned how to build teams that could, you know, be rock stars for us if we weren't present. And, you know, one of the things that I always respected about you, Corinne, is even in the hustle, even in the crazy, you always found time to make time for your life. You know what I mean? I mean, I used to follow you on, you know, on social media. Like, there she is having, you know, a happy or a brunch on Sunday. And, you know, for me, and I know that there's a lot of other people who have been in my boat, and a lot of my clients feel the same way. We struggle with allowing ourselves to have a life. It's almost like we have to keep doing this. I have to work 100 hours a week. Otherwise, I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know if it, you know, it's almost like that quiet time becomes a very lonely time, because you've realized that you've kind of sacrificed everything for this career, and you end up becoming burnt out. That's one of the biggest things that I hear nonstop, constantly from my, you know, my clients is, I'm burnt out. All I want to do is see my kids, you know, make them dinner once a week. You know what I mean? And, you know, I really think it comes down to, you know, just being able to delegate and not being so worried about being in control of everything. Because really, when you act like that, you're in control of nothing.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, I think back then when we were working 80, 100 hours a week, on those 5 hours or on that Sunday when I didn't have an event, I was in like, no, I need to see my friends or I won't make it the next 100 hours for this next coming week. And if it was, I kind of just had to put into my brain is like, I'm going to dedicate these 2 hours, if that's all I have, 2 hours to going to get food with my friends and catching up. And then I can come back and work the rest of the day if that needs to get done. But if all I have is 2 hours, dedicating that to my friends. If I can have to drive back to California to see my mom for only this one day, then I will do that if that's the only option I have. And it was just kind of, it was not easy. And I mean, even still, it's not easy, but I think especially now in 2020 with everything that's going on, I think it's also taught everyone to just value that a little bit more than what we're used to, because you never know what can happen. And so I feel like, especially now, it's like, no, like it's my day off or it's 7 o'clock, like people can wait, people can, other companies are not doing this. Other companies are very 9 to 5, and this industry is not that, and it never will be, but still having that break of like, oh, my work phone's ringing, but I don't have to answer it. If they leave a voice message and it's something dire, then of course I can pick it up and I can call them back. Like I had a client that I was telling you, Becky, that was calling me on Thanksgiving that their upcoming event on this yesterday had to be canceled because of a COVID related instance. It's like, in that instance, yes, I will 100% talk to you because they needed me more than anything at that moment. And I was there for them. But then I was able to put my phone away, handle that for 30 minutes. And then I was able to turn my phone off and then go enjoy the holiday with my friends and family. So I feel like that's definitely something that we can be there and available 24/7, but at some points you just kind of have to learn to be like, no, it's okay. Like I can call them tomorrow or I can deal with this tomorrow and take a step
boundaries
back.
are, boundaries are really important, for sure. I struggle with that, I mean, and even now I still have to kind of remind myself that like, it's okay. You are doing your job. You are always present. You are always there. But I've now gotten to a point where I know that like, if I don't take that time, that little bit of time for myself, I'm not going to be as good as I could be for my clients. And then it's also not teaching them how to start, trusting a team, how to start delegating tasks, how to start not working in your business, but working on your business,
Yeah.
because that's really super important.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And like what you were talking about earlier, delegating to your team below you, I was like, I think how we started to work with everything at Santa Barbara, we had to do that because there weren't enough of us at that top level to be everywhere at once and to watch everyone, and having a one-on-one conversation with that employee and being like, this is my plan. This is how I see the event running. Can you now take this and execute it while I can go focus on XYZ? I'm available if you need me, but I'm not going to be there anymore. I think that also helped employees grow too, from where they felt responsible and they felt in charge, because that's important too. When you feel like you're being talked to and having to give orders all the time and not having ownership over that, they don't want to do as good as job either, because they just looked to us and was like, what would Corinne do? Let me go get Corinne. And we're not empowering them to make their own decisions either. And I think that's also important for employees, and they take pride in the company more as well. And I think that we saw that a lot towards the end, is like people started to really, really love the events that they were working. They wanted to be in charge. They wanted to take ownership. And it also let us be like, okay, I don't need to stay until midnight here. I can check in. I can make sure you guys are good. Call me if you need me, but I'm going to take a step back. And then also taught our clients as well, as like, we'll work with you until the very end, but then here's this amazing person.
Right. Who will, who sorry, I know she's kind of, cutting out. You cut out a little bit there,
Okay.
but passing it over to, an event manager who's going to execute it. And I think that, as the hustle is great. You know what I mean? I'm still hustling, you know what I mean? Every single day. I'm always
Yeah.
go, 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 but I'm doing it smarter. And, and that's what I really try to like let my clients know is that please don't give up on this industry. Don't give up on this industry, because the reason it's taking over your life is because you're allowing it to take over your life. I remember waking up one day, looking at myself in the mirror and going, I don't recognize myself anymore. I literally don't recognize who I am. I've lost all of my friends. I don't have a dating life, and then the best thing I did, you know what it was? I got a dog, because the dog forced me to go home. The dog needed me, and it forced me to leave that place and start trusting a team, it was going to be okay. Here's the deal is that you're not going to set somebody up to fail.
Exactly.
we weren't giving, event managers with little experience, a gala of 600 people. You know what I mean? It was a house party, things like that. And I wasn't going to leave my team with, hours of work left to do, but it was okay to go home and then possibly still be there. I didn't have to be the first person there and the last person to leave every single day in order to do my job well.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's like the biggest thing is just it empowers your team, and it just makes them want to do well for you and then do well for the company. And also, I think one of the biggest things is like, we're there to help, but we want them to improve as well. Like, they're never as good as their last event. They can only go up from there. So it's like, if we're growing as a company and we're selling more events and you're booking better things, you need your staff to grow as well, so they can then learn and be able to execute those bigger and better things that you're bringing on as a company.
One thing I had to like kind of really tell myself along the way, and I know that like, my girls and like, my teams, they know that like I struggled at first, and then I kind of had to just like let it go. Was it might not be exactly what I would do. The decisions that were made when I wasn't present or I wasn't there, or they might not be 100% exactly what I would do. Maybe, they decide to cook this first, in this second. But at the end of the day, it was going to be okay. The events were going to be fine. Everybody was going to be happy. And the thing is too, is that when you really start to like kind of empower your team to make decisions, they're going to call you when it's a decision that they're not sure about. So that you can trust them, because they're never going to make a decision that they aren't 100% sure that that's the right decision, or it's a decision that they're allowed to make.
Mm-hmm.
And that just goes back to like, the hustle in general. What I hate to hear is, the constant, I'm burnt out. This industry is taking over my life. I can't do this anymore. I just want to be able to, have, go on a vacation for 2 days and not worry that the whole place is going to come crashing down, and I think it really just has to come down to, really building your team, hustling hard and getting the job done during the hours that, it makes sense to do that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I feel like it really just comes down to building a strong team, and pretty much anything that would happen, they'll be able to make a decision. It's not going to be, unless there's a fire or something, like, problems will be able to be solved. And you might look back and, like you said, be like, I wouldn't have done it that way, but the end goal, the client's super happy and the food turned out amazing and everything was a success. That's the main goal. It's not always to have it be exactly the way we set it up in our minds. And half the time in this industry, nothing turns out that way anyways. Every time something happens and plans get changed, you have to think on your feet, you have to make decisions on the fly. And then all that planning that you did for that one thing, that goes out the window anyways.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you have a strong team to back you up on that, they'll be able to be like, okay, like, let me put a fresh eyes on this. Like, you can take a step back, Corinne, I'll try to tackle this, and kind of help you in that way as well.
Well, and the one thing that it really did for me when I was at a point where I started kind of delegating, because I still was struggling with the fact that I had to be working, as many hours as possible. But what it did do for me is when I started offloading, when I started kind of giving away tasks and, watching you kind of do the same thing, it allowed us to get involved in bigger picture projects or bigger picture issues, which only allowed us to gain more knowledge, more tools for our future. I mean, 100% me being able to do that allowed me to be able to start my business right here today. 100% you really taking that seriously and really, trusting your team and understanding that I have to learn how to do this so that I can have that, that Sunday off, or I can, have this little break. It allowed us to kind of look at things and learn more, and that's why we are where we are today, and it's like, that's just what I want so badly to help. That's the biggest thing that I try to focus on with my clients and really try to kind of instill in them, is that the more time you spend on training your staff and building those teams, the more you can focus on, is in your business, like looking at your food costs, looking at your labor costs, looking at improvements and maintenance and things that, make your life easier.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, it definitely comes that you need help in all those aspects. And like, before everything, you and I were working on all that menu stuff and pricing and trying to restructure everything. And because of delegating and trusting our team, I was able to be like, I don't need to be at my desk 24/7. I don't need to answer this email right away. I can pass it on to someone else. I can delegate a little bit. So then you and I can go sit down and work on this new pricing structure, or this new idea to make the company as a whole run better, and how to implement it to the rest of our team and train everyone else. If you don't have a good support team underneath you, you're never going to be able to do that. And I feel like that was something we really started to do at the end, was really like delegate to everyone else while we can go and have different meetings and learn from different people of how to grow the company as a whole. And that's what everyone wants to do. And especially now in these times, everyone wants to grow or get more business because we lost a lot already. So it's like, you have to have a strong team, so then someone else can go focus on the day-to-day tasks of things, and then you can go focus on how are you going to get back that business, or how are you going to pivot as a company, change this, do that, to restructure or grow or gain back what you lost.
Well, and I think it's funny. Yeah, I mean, whether it's making the company grow in business, or it's just about making the company more profitable because we're happy with the amount of business we have. I mean, both sides are something that you have to look at. And I just see all the time people get lost in the hustle of the day-to-day, that they forget that those are areas that you have to set time aside to really focus on. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you've spent time really training that team. I mean, I remember, talking to, my girls and even myself, where it was like, I love to be in the dish room, right? When we worked together, I loved it in there. And I loved it for a lot of different reasons. It was a task that had a start and an end, and it didn't require a lot of thinking. So it was kind of a break for me. I also loved it because it gave, my team an opportunity to kind of see me in a different light. And, that was important for me to show them that, I'm not scared to do dishes. I'm not scared to take the trash out. I'm not better than you. But there were times where I was doing the dishes just because it felt like I had to be involved, instead of taking the time to focus on something else and go home maybe 2 hours early. And it wasn't healthy. And it,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
it really wasn't healthy. And, you know, I see a lot of times, not to say that you can't be like an owner and a chef. You can if you have a killer team, because it is hard to be the owner and working in your business every single day and not get burnt out, not get tired of the hustle. I mean, you should wake up every day going, every day I'm hustling because I enjoy this. I'm not burnt out. I'm hustling because, you know, I have the energy to do the best hustle today in the 8 or 10 hour shift I'm going to do. And then I'm going to go home and it's going to be okay again. I'm going to lay the foundation. I'm going to build the team. I'm going to train them. I'm going to do it right so that again, I can enjoy my life and enjoy my career.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you don't do that, then I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like you were just going to look back and be like, was that all worth it? And it was, but you don't ever want to sit there and be like, did I just waste the past X amount of years of my life not seeing friends, family, sleeping, eating?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to do that. And I feel like we all do love our job. We would not be in this industry if we didn't genuinely love what we do, because it does take a lot of energy. It takes a lot of time. It's not normal hours. It's weekends, it's holidays. It does take time away from friends and family. And we all know that getting into the industry, but it doesn't need to take all of that time. It doesn't need to take away every holiday. It doesn't need to take away every opportunity you have to see your kids or your husband or your friends or anyone. It doesn't need to do that. And definitely being able to do everything. And we were always one to jump in no matter what needed. The kitchen needed help, operations needed help, sales needed help, serving at an event, they needed help. We were always there to jump in, but then we were also there to be like, no, you guys can handle this. I'm gonna go home now, because sometimes being there and just overseeing doesn't do anyone any benefit either, because people get worried that they're not doing a good job because they're like, why is the boss here just staring at me? Right. And I feel like I have to go to them to make decisions when they know the right decision. But while you're just standing there and kind of hovering, they're like, is something wrong? Am I? And that's where people aren't empowered to do their own thing.
I remember, you know, when I started, you know, when I would chef the events and things like that, I had to kind of almost switch my role as just like the overseer of the entire event. And I remember going to a lot of events, getting them set up and then leaving for an hour or two and then coming back just for like the plate up portion, just so that they could make the decisions. You know what I mean? Like they were there doing the things that they knew how to do without me kind of standing over them going, did you fire this? Did you fire that? Because sometimes as the leader, you forget to take a step back. You know, you really do. Or it was the opposite. If I was working an event, or if I was going to be a person on an event, I had a specific job to do. So everybody had a job. I wasn't necessarily the boss. I was the person that was plating all the salads, or I was the cook tonight, and I had somebody else in charge to do, you know, the cold setup or whatever. And I think that also was really helpful too, in just kind of empowering, you know, teammates to be able to make decisions. But, you know, at the end of the day, it is hard when you are the boss. So it's always going to be a little intimidating. And it's funny how oftentimes people make decisions that they would have never made had you not been standing right there. It's almost like they got so nervous that they're like, what? And then you're like, it's okay, calm down. I'm not judging you. Like, I know you got this, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like it was like in school when your teacher would come and stand behind you and all of a sudden you didn't know how to do anything correctly. Right. And they're like, you're getting frustrated with yourself. You're like, I know this, but you're getting so nervous. And I feel like that's what it turns into a lot of times. And I mean, from working at Santa Barbara, we had a huge company compared to where I am now, fresh from the kitchen. And it's like, we might not have a sales team of 5 that I can bring to an event to help me, but we have me and Noelle, but it's like just the 2 of us can certainly bounce ideas off each other and just take it from a smaller level. So even if you don't have a huge team of 20 or however big, you have a team of 5 or even less, it's still like, okay, you can delegate even in that little bit of, even if you're the person in charge, you can be like, I'm going to work on this, you work on this, you work on this, and you work on this. So even those other 4 people, they still feel empowered to make those decisions on that certain 5 tasks you gave them at that one larger event. And then you're still there doing your tasks, but then you're also there to oversee, but more on a broader scale of things, just to be like, okay, that got done, check it off the list, that got done, check it off the list. More of like, everyone can be empowered to do those smaller tasks versus a big, huge event, just because you might not have that team size.
Sure, absolutely. No, absolutely. And that, that's something that like I think we've talked a lot about like, how you guys are doing and how you've structured this business during the pandemic. And, I think a lot of people are, kind of going, how are events still happening? Is this industry even still alive? Like, what are we doing? And I think that like, Fresh from the Kitchen has done an amazing job at just kind of pivoting the business to make it work for them during this time. You were telling me that like, not only does Noelle, like she has like the servers, they're trained to work in the kitchen. So they'll come and they'll work in the kitchen with her, make the food, and then they'll go and, serve on the event, which is amazing in so many ways, because everybody knows that I'm the biggest advocate for cross training. I think that you should cross train every single person in your business on every single task to an extent, right? I mean,
yeah.
Your dishwasher's not going to be able to be the pastry chef, but they should know, they should know the general idea of what's going on in your business. And, let's say, we used to do that at Santa Barbara too. We would bring in, servers. I mean, at one year, don't you remember Madeline?
Yeah, they were some of our best in the kitchen, but also some of our best on events.
Yes, absolutely. And because we cross-trained them, we were able to do so much more. You know what I mean? I mean, servers who used to be scared of action stations were like, no, I got this. No big deal. You want me to light it on fire? Cool, I'll do it. Which was great too, because then it didn't mean that like, once again, I had to be hustling. I had to be the one to go to do the action station, or Marissa or Kelly. We had the servers who were already going to be there until the end of the event, trained and ready. And they probably made it or had something to do with it in the kitchen earlier on. And I think that that's so smart that she's been doing that. Not just for that ability, but also because, keeping a team going right now it's not easy if you don't have a ton of business. But but what you don't want is to get rid of your entire team because there's not enough hours or security to offer. And so what you guys have done, which I just, is very smart, is you've kept a core. You've made sure that they have, security through all of this, that they have enough work to keep them going, and they're going to be there when it starts to explode again.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like when I came in, we already had that team in set. I came in as the new person. I didn't know anyone. But it's the same faces I see every time when I walk in for a tasting, or the same faces I see at an event. And I feel like Noelle did an amazing job of, when the pandemic hit, it wasn't, okay, I'm panicking. I don't know what to do with all these people. I don't know if I should lay them off. I don't know what to do. She kept in there and she found projects. I mean, when I first talked to her, she was like, they're building new things for food stations. And it kind of let the staff too be creative on their own end. Was like, here's the task of building a fun new structure or way to display our food. And they kind of just sat there and worked together as a team and came up with something, presented the idea to Noelle, and she gave her feedback, and then they went and they did it. And it was something now, when they see it on an event or they're working an event, they're like, we put that together. We know exactly how it should work, how food should look on it, because we're the ones who designed it, built it, engineered it. And so I feel like just those little things, they're like, why would yes, I might not have an event to go to every single day right now, but I'm loyal to this company. I don't need to go anywhere else right now. I still want to do this, because a lot of people too, if you don't feel like you have enough work, obviously you have to go find work to pay your bills and everything else. But
We got a little frozen again. Keep coming back. Oh, it froze up again.
great.
No, I mean, 100% to what you're saying. And I think, one thing to kind of address is that, that the fact that, you guys were able to do that is amazing. But for the companies who just, flat out cannot, you know what I mean? They don't have the resources possibly to, keep people on for projects and stuff like that. The one thing I would say to them is still keep your core, but cross train them in everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Keep your core on. If you have a line cook that is, super amazing, they can now be the dishwasher, the prep cook, and the line cook, and possibly teach them how to serve one day a week. Or if you have a front of house manager that has never done anything in the back of the house, flip them. Because what's going to happen is that when you have to go, when things start picking up again, and we're in a position where we can start hiring more frequently, and we're ready to kind of go, you're going to have a killer top that is going to be able to train anybody in any situation. And that's how we were able to do that every year, because catering is seasonal, especially here in Arizona. And so a lot of our team members came back every year. Front of the house staff, there were certain people that always came back, and there were the kitchen staff that would come back here and there. But we would end up having to hire and train very, very quickly. And I know without, a shadow of a doubt, the reason we were able to do that, the reason we were able to build those teams so quickly, is because we had been cross-trained in almost every department. If we had to go into ops, we could go into ops. If everything. And it just made it really, really easy and efficient in building a team quickly.
Yeah, I agree. And especially right now, I feel like it's the perfect time to do that too, because we're not swamped with events. Places aren't full to capacity. You might don't have events 5 days a week, 7 days a week. So it's the perfect time too to put people in different positions and train them, because you have the time, and why not maybe give them an extra hour while you train them on X, Y, and Z. So then it also helps you as a business owner or someone higher up in your business to be like, okay, I can maybe take a step back a little, even during these times, to be like, oh, I trained so-and-so on, she can wash the dishes, so she might be the one serving the tasting, but then she can also clean it up, wash the dishes, and put them away. And I don't feel like I need to stay till the doors close that night, or that I need to get someone else in there to do that. She might just be there a little bit longer, which to some of these people right now, that's more than they could ever ask for. They want hours, they want the money. So if you can just employ someone a little bit longer that day, but they can just do two people's jobs, that's always convenient too. Because then also that takes the pressure off of you to either feel like you need to do that, or that you need to be there to watch someone do that or train someone to do that.
Well, and what's interesting about it too is that, when you start cross-training people almost immediately upon hiring, let's say that, we cross-train everybody. And I used to say that to people. You might be stationed in the cold side, but I promise you will work every single station here. And tomorrow you might be in the bakery. The next day you might be in the dish room. It's just what's going to happen. And they would be like, okay. But the second they would start to move around was when they would really get excited about their job, because what they saw? Opportunity. There's opportunity for more. There's always opportunity to possibly get more hours, because I now know how to do all of these different things. Or, maybe it's a pay raise because now they can do all of these things. Or maybe it's a serious ladder growth. You know what I mean? And, I think all of us kind of started that way. I started at Santa Barbara way back, like, forever ago as the pastry chef, and I never even cooked savory food in my life.
Yeah.
Minus like at home for dinner, right?
Yeah.
And like 3 years later, I was executive chef. And the reason is because I was cross trained. I immediately started working everywhere and learning it all. And same thing with you. I mean, you like seriously showed up, and then I swear you were like, selling $1 million like the next day,
Yeah. I mean, same on like the sales office side. I started literally as like the bottom level, entry level assistant. I worked basically computer work, but I learned here and there, and they started throwing me in at events and being like, okay, go. And next thing you know, I was like, oh, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
I can sell this event. I can do this. And it does also, I feel like 100%, it makes your employees want to grow and they want to do more things too, because the minute they see something else, if they like it, they're going to want to start doing that. And that's exactly, I mean, how I started. I never thought I would be a salesperson in my life.
Right.
But I started, and people like Nicole and other people were doing, and I was like, oh, I like that. This is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I want to do that too. And then you just work hard to make that happen. And I feel like to a lot of people who might come in at the bottom, but they're a line cook or whatever it might be, like cross training them too might give them opportunity. Also just teach them more, and they might be like, oh, I really like serving, but I never thought I would want to do that. And then they can go into that field, and maybe then they're like, oh, I like the manager role. Like maybe I want to work my way up to that. And it also makes people want to stay and work for your company longer as well, I think.
Well, and it's funny because, it also allows you to kind of weed out the people who are just not really invested in the company. Like if they're not, if they're just there and all they want to do is this one job, like let's face it, this industry is it's too moving and shaken to just be like, my only job is this. And that's also super annoying. And those are people like, I wouldn't employ ever. I just wouldn't, not in this industry. Because guess what? If so-and-so calls off, and I need help in the dish room, we're going in the dish room. It's just what it's going to be. It's about being a team. So by kind of initiating the fact that everybody's going to be kind of cross-trained and moved around and put in spots that maybe they're not comfortable in right away, it allows us to know what their potential is, but it also allows us to know their level of commitment or dedication, which then allows us to make really good decisions moving forward. What else, I love about it is that it, once again, allows the second we start putting people in different positions and taking on more, let's say, it allows us to really focus on the hustle that matters. And that is making sure that our bottom line is looking good. It's making sure that we're bringing in business. It's making sure that we're executing business. Once again, it's allowing us not to work in the business, but on the business.
Yeah, I 100% agree. If you have that, like what we said earlier, if you don't have that core team, that's also where you're going to get burnt out. You're going to not want to do this anymore, and you're going to regret it. It's like if you don't have that team and you don't put people in different positions and train people on the broader, then you're not going to have the opportunity to ever grow your business and get that client you really, really want.
Mm-hmm. Or possibly go after a new demographic. That's another way, that it happens.
Yeah, you need the time to do that and focus on that. And without a good support level below you, it's just, you don't have the time to do that, or you're working 80, 100 hours a week and you just don't have the physical time in the day to do that either.
Right. I'm hustling, but I'm not hustling in a way that it's actually beneficial.
Yeah, you're just hustling to get the job done.
Right. Yeah. I can only think about today. I see that so often. I really can only focus on today. And then when I get to tomorrow, I'll think about tomorrow. That's terrible. That's a terrible way to live every single day, especially with the level of like commitment that it takes to like kind of be in this industry. It kind of gets you, it makes you feel stuck. that's when, the burnout kind of really starts to take over. And then you question, why am I doing this? Why? And it doesn't have to be like that. And I think that, you and I, it was funny how we started kind of designing this talk, around, just different things. And then we ended up kind of coming in this direction because both of us, when we had gotten on the phone, we hadn't talked in a while, kind of said, gosh, my life is just, it's different, because I hadn't,
Yeah.
we really, I mean, we've, kept in contact, but it had been a few,
It'd been, yeah.
yeah, a while. And, and that was one of the first things I kind of heard out of your voice. Like, I don't know if I can go back to it ever, truthfully. I'm really happy because I know that the things that I am putting my energy in towards are making the company you work for happy. They're bringing in, the money that they're looking to bring in. And you're not sacrificing every single thing in your life to get there.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, I never thought it would take a global pandemic to make me realize that, and a new job and all of that. But definitely, yeah, like the way, and that's kind of, yeah, what you said, our direction today was like, what we did was we had an amazing time doing it. Don't regret it for the world. And it taught me more than I ever could have asked for. But yeah, I mean, thinking about going back to working 100 hours and working till midnight on my computer every day and not seeing friends and family, you definitely question, you're like, was that 100% worth it? Do I actually want to do that again? And the more I think about it, I'm like, I don't know if I want to take all that away anymore, because I was able to get some of that back now. And yeah, I still work super hard every day. I hustle, and it's a lot of work, and that's never going to change. But it's just augmenting it to do it in a different way, I guess, is the best way to put it, of just figuring out how it can work best for you. But you also have your friends and your family that you've never been able to see before, but you're trying to figure out how to fit that in your life.
Right.
2 hours, it just makes a world of difference.
Absolutely. So I wanted to kind of let everybody know like what you guys are doing right now that's kind of allowing you guys to continue to go after new business. What kind of fun things have you guys implemented? I know you guys had some like kind of really interesting events that like I thought, oh, this would be really cool to share with everybody, because I don't think a lot of people are thinking necessarily outside of the box on how events could actually still happen safely and and still have a great time. So
yeah, I would say one of the most recent ones we did probably 2 or 3 weeks ago now was a drive-through awards gala. Typically this is something you have in a huge, everyone dresses up and you have a big dinner, and that's what everything was last year. And this company definitely they were like, we still want to figure out how we can make this happen for our employees. They weren't ready to just throw in the towel on this event as a whole. They knew this awards was something people looked forward to, and they were like, virtual is one thing where everyone just stays at home and gets on their computer, but they were like, the fun of it is being together and being all in one spot, because sitting at home isn't as fun as just at least seeing other people. We've all felt that. And they rented out a spot at the mall, a big parking lot basically, and got the permits and had an AV team come in, put in screens, big screens up there. They figured out how to tune into a radio station.
Oh, cool.
So everyone basically drove up when they RSVP'd for the event. We designed these noshing boxes, we called them. So they had 3 to pick from. One was like a meat and cheese box with crackers and everything. One was more of a veggie box with hummus and different dips and just cold veggies. And then one was like a combo that we called a caprese box with hand-pulled mozzarella and tomato. put it in a bag with a water bottle. And essentially they just drove up and gave us their last name. We pulled their boxes and handed it to them through their car window. And everyone just kind of tuned into their radio station, ate their good food, and just kind of hung out. Some people popped the trunks of their car and had blankets.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see everyone kept their distance, and people just hung out in their cars, and people were talking from window to window, saying hi to each other. And everyone loved when they drove up. They were so excited to be able to eat something and see other people and do something new and just kind of get out of the house. And I was like, if this could be the new thing, or if everyone was able to do that, that's amazing, because it was fun. And logistically on our side of things, it was easy. Normally,
actually it's like I already like went through it in my mind and like started creating prep lists and like how we were going to execute that, and I'm like, there's nothing to it. It's so from like the catering company standpoint, or anybody who's doing like banquets or events, that is really like, that's really smart. It reminds me of like a drive-in, the movie theater.
That's
like,
exactly what it is.
And that like was so much fun, and those are still fun to go to today. And so even thinking through like people who want to have a drive-through wedding so that everybody can at least see the ceremony, and then maybe you have 10 people for your reception, the people that you see in your households every single day afterwards, but that way everybody can kind of drive through and see it. Like that would be
exactly
smart,
And I feel like one thing playing off that a little bit was we took the noshing boxes to just a bigger scale and created like 5 or 6 that we could do for people too. Was just like people who want to host. Everyone at the beginning of quarantine was doing the Zoom happy hours or different things like that. And I feel like going into it kind of fell off a little bit, because I think everyone had video fatigue of just having to be on a computer all day. But now with the holidays, people are getting back on and Zooming with family and friends and all their loved one that they can't see. And even just with friends, we have cheese boxes that are very cost effective. We'll deliver them to your house, and you can order 5 and we'll deliver them to your 5 friends, and then everyone can be eating the same thing, talking. And I feel like that's something we're trying to kind of put out there, is like, the events don't have to end, they just kind of have to change a little bit. You can still have a baby shower, a birthday party, whatever it might be, and you can even send those people a box, and then you can still have your little bubble have a fun thing in your house, and you can kind of do all of that. And like, we designed holiday dinner boxes, which have always been a popular thing, but just kind of making them a smaller scale, where normally people have 10 to 15 people at their house and more, and you have huge extravagant things. It's like, this only feeds 6. And this box, you only need to order 4, or this, you can only order 1. And if you only want to order 2, that's totally fine. Of just kind of scaling those things back, because typically you require orders for 50 people or 20, and just kind of figuring out how we can serve a household of 6, or someone only wants to have 4 people over, how we can still make that really nice. But everyone has their own box. It's COVID friendly. They aren't sharing big platters of everything, and just kind of really pushing that right now. Even for corporate events, we're trying to tell people, like, you might not be able to have a huge holiday party this year, but we can still send a box to every single person on your team.
And I loved that. I thought that's kind of something really special, especially for like, the corporate, the big corporate companies that are obviously missing that big event, and they still want to be able to do something nice for, their employees. So it's like, that's pretty cool,
Yeah, and I think that's going to be, who knows what 2021 is going to look like. I feel like in still some aspects, it might look a little similar to how we are now, but who knows? And it's like, and some of these things, they don't have to be for holidays either. We saw a lot of companies that had big parties in like January, the beginning of the year, because they knew the holidays was their busy time and they didn't have time for that. So it's like, whenever you choose to celebrate your employees, it's like, that's the perfect thing. We did something at the beginning of quarantine. We partnered with a florist that every company got a little bag of cookies and a bouquet dropped off at their house, just to say, thank you. Like, we know you're working hard and we're here for you. Like, hopefully this will all be together soon.
Right.
And obviously they're still working from home, and they put together jewelry people. We're one of them, a florist, a few other people, and they sent it out to everyone where people can kind of pick and choose what they want to do. And everyone has a certain discount code or a percentage off, or one of our packages, you get free desserts if you order. So it's like different things like that, where it's just figuring out how you can do even one little thing for some of these companies, because that's what people look forward to, was that big holiday party at the end of the year with 500 plus people.
No, and I think you guys, I think it's been, it's been really smart for you guys to kind of, you pivoted. You just said, you know what? We used to have to, we used to require that it was going to be for 25 people. Now we're going to do it for 6, because I have a small team of people I'm keeping on, right? My core, I need to keep them going. And this is going to allow me as a business to keep my employees going, allow me to continue to be able to cater or offer some sort of an experience to clients. And then when we're ready to be able to get back into having like the larger gatherings, those people are going to call you. And what's even better about how you guys are doing this is that, by, like, let's say a big corporate company does come in and say, okay, I'm going to buy all of my employees, Christmas dinner, right? Yeah. I'm sending out a thing of, 6. Mm-hmm. For 6 people, and it'll be all Christmas dinner, and I want to have it delivered Christmas Eve or whatever you guys do. Those people who don't necessarily know who, Fresh from the Kitchen is, now do.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, it's just allowing you, and this is what I keep saying is, Corinne, like, if there's anything I literally, when I was designing the title, I was like, when I think of Corinne, I think of Every Day I'm Hustling, because it's genius. It really is.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the only thing to do right now, is because, like, you can't just sit and wait for events to come, because we don't know exactly when the big ones are going to come back. Mm-hmm. There are small ones, but
technology. We got to love it. Hopefully. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Over there. So you
Perfect.
left off with saying, we don't know when large events are going to come back again. And, I think the thing to remember, though, is that, people are still craving an experience. And as long 100%. As that is at the forefront of your mind, especially in catering right now, we know that, this is probably the hardest. Banquets are the hardest. Because there's literally nothing else you can offer, right? Yeah. But as long as you're thinking about what is the experience going to be for these customers, it's still an event, as long as they have a feeling attached to it, So again, you just have to hustle differently, and we got to be able to do this.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's all it was. And it's like, it's not like it has to be for right now either. I'm like, you want to order these boxes for February? Sure, go ahead. It's like, and it's perfect too, because it's like, it's making everyone who's working at the company at this given time something to do. We're not having, everyone has a job, and it's still that one person who's going to go deliver that one meal that one day. It's still giving them something to do on that day, for, even if it's just for 2 hours, they're still going to the kitchen, they're picking up the food, they're loading the truck, and they're going to that person's house, and then they're bringing that vehicle back. So I feel like it's still giving those core people a job to do, even if it's just on a smaller scale, but it's still something.
It's still something, and it's still, again, it's still staying like relevant to, what it is that you guys do, and you you offer an experience, you build, memories and events, and that's still happening. And I
Yeah.
think, again, I think you guys have done a great job. Continue to do a great job. And, you obviously I love and adore, and I'm really happy for you. And it sounds like, you're enjoying where you're at too. And
I am. It's a good time. It's always fun in the catering world. Something different every day.
I know it's so funny because like I have clients that are just like restaurant people, but like anytime there's like an option to like throw in some sort of like catered event type deal, I'm like, sign me up, sign me up. Okay, let's talk about this. I can't, it's like once you've been in that industry, that world, it's so hard to ever kind of get rid of it. It's like in your blood, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Even if it's just having people over for dinner at your house, you're still like, okay, I need to do this, I need to do this, and I need to do this, and it's gonna be perfect.
I know. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming
You're
on.
welcome. Thanks for having me.
I really
This was fun.
appreciate it. This was fun. And I think it was good to kind of talk about, kind of get it out there for everybody, and really kind of like raise awareness. I know that, the hustle for me can sometimes be, the opposite, where I don't know how to not be hustling. And I just, I know there's other people out there that can really relate to that. So whether or not like you're looking to kind of get to a point where, you don't, this industry isn't taking over your life, or you're looking to kind of know what to do when you have the option for it not to take over your life, like those are things that, I would definitely love to help you with. So if there's anybody out there that's kind of struggling with that, please email me at info@takingthewheelconsulting.com. And for those out there who are looking to have their next experience, Corinne, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, you guys can email me at Corinne at freshfromthekitchenllc.com. And when we're done, I can put my info in the chat because I know my name and everything's hard to spell. So I'll put all that in there so you don't misspell anything. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. And our next leadership talks will be in a couple weeks. And if anybody wants to come on and be a guest speaker, let me know. I'd love to have, anybody on who feels like they have, something to kind of bring to the table, or if there's, maybe a struggle that you feel like we need to kind of address happening in this industry. I know COVID is still obviously a huge scare, and it's still happening. So let me know. I'd love to hear anybody's input or feedback. And otherwise, I'll see you guys in a couple weeks for our next leadership talks. Cheers.
Bye.